Well, happy Tuesday. Big waves to you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Well, we've got at least two celebrity guests' birthdays today. I don't know that they're on, but Chris Doyle and Tracy Mazeroski. Tracy's out of Ohio and Chris Doyle's out of Tennessee. So if you got their numbers or their Facebook handle, shoot them over a happy birthday. We hope they have an amazing day today. And if it's your birthday, let us know. Let us know. We don't want to miss it. So, Andrea Rosser, let's get it started. Our word for today on this Tuesday is arbitrary. Arbitrary. So, if you look at that definition, it says means based on personal preference, impulse, or opinion rather than a reason, facts, or consistent standards. So, I immediately went to Andrea. I don't know about you, but sometimes the the things that I hear come out of my mouth, is it facts or opinions of Brent and his raising? I immediately thought of that, Vicky. So how many of you, well, we're all a product of our upbringing, right? Pat Ogden believes in things or knows things because of her upbringings that guess what? I didn't have. Andrea out in California was brought up different than maybe I was in Alabama, right? We all have our different beliefs because of the way we were raised, right? You know, and probably if people came around with any of us, they would see little quirky behaviors, Petra. They'd be like, well, that's a quirky little behavior. And it's like, well, that's the way I was raised, not quirky to me, right? So, okay, why do I say that? Because arbitrary, when I really started looking at this, is have we ever asked ourselves the question, have you ever been like somebody has like shared some beliefs with you as you grew up and you just thought it was facts? And you get to a certain age and you actually look into it and you're like, that's not factual. That's not factual. But I thought it was factual because that's the way I was brought up. So here's my message for myself today. One of the quickest ways to lose trust, whether you're a coach or you're a parent or you're a leader, like you have influence, maybe it's even friendship, is to be arbitrary, meaning to share thoughts and ideas that are not truly factual. They're not backed up by facts, right? Now, here's what I mean. Sometimes something can be deep rooted. And me and Andrea can look at each other and we're like, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. And then you walk away and you do something the other person's going, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Have you ever been there? You ever thought about that? So I don't think people like they don't expect us to be perfect, but they do expect us to be consistent, right? And so what could we be consistent on when we're talking about arbitrary? Look it up, Hill. Is it backed by fact or is it backed by opinion? And if it's backed by opinion, it's okay for you to like it or not like it, but it's not okay to teach it, Christy, right? It's not okay to teach it. And sometimes we're led. How many of you would agree? You don't have to raise your hand that you're led a little bit with emotion. Right? You can find yourself being led with emotion. It's kind of like the stock market. Like if you're like you start to hear about all this hype in the market, so then you go buy a stock. Well, guess what? It's probably on the back end because it's been hyped up so much. But you're led with that emotion. It's like, are you led with the emotion or with the logic? Well, let me tell you, I can preach on that subject. Okay. I've been led with the emotion before when it comes to the stock market. Um, on the flip side, in business, sometimes if you're not careful, you're led with emotion, meaning that if your business is on fire, you're led a certain way. If your business is stagnant, you're an emotional roller coaster, right? And before you know it, you're grabbing every shiny object of a way to do things and you're running with that, right? Because you're just like, I don't know what to do, right? So here's the thing, we got to be consistent. So when we're thinking about being like leading with arbitrary thought, like don't do it, right? And that's what I'm telling myself, like Brent, don't do it. Is it led with fact, logic, or is it led with emotion? Strong leaders, they're not perfect, but they're predictable. When times change, when times slow down, strong leaders, they kind of get calm. Shoulders back, chest out, big deep breath, and we're going to look for solutions to why we're slow. Okay. It's kind of like if you pick up 5 pounds, don't panic. It's not over. Just get back in the middle of the road, right? Hit the reset button. Because if not, we will spiral. We will spiral. So, what it said when I looked up arbitrary, and I'll turn it to Andrea, is when I'm making important decisions today in whatever area of my life, ask myself this: is it based on fact or feelings? Needs to be based on facts. Am I being consistent with my values, Eric? Like I can't drift away from my values just because I'm a little emotionally charged. Would I make the same decision if someone else were involved? Because sometimes we let personal conflict like really take us in the wrong direction. So living with intention instead of impulse creates confidence. And people feel it. Like they're like, yes, I'm confident because they're even keel when times are a little turbulent. So anyway, Andrea, I'm gonna turn it to you.
Well, I love this lesson. I thought you did a great job. And all I can think of is my own toes just being mashed to pieces with this one. And so to me, when I hear the word arbitrary, I kind of think random, right? Just like random rules. So I'm kind of thinking about my kids and the things that are just like a non-negotiable around here. And then the things where I'm like, ain't no big deal. It feels so arbitrary. But the one that actually got me is how many times have I said, absolutely not, that's a chemical poop storm, right? Like, we don't do diet soda, that's a chemical poop storm. But you know what I will do? I'll sure as heck get me some Dairy Queen ice cream that you guys know, you bet your bottom dollar that that is probably a bigger chemical poop storm. And it's just this arbitrary line in the sand that I drew that has no logic behind it. And so that's gonna, anyway. So I'm just thinking as I'm listening to you talk about this lesson, like how many arbitrary rules or statements have come? Yes, Emily, that's my favorite saying, just so you know. How many arbitrary rules have I put out in the world that I think are actually truths? I don't even see them because my lens says this is just reality, and I'm not even seeing how arbitrary it is. So the quote that I found was by John Rawls, and he said, "The first principle of justice is that decisions should never be arbitrary." So I'm looking at me today and saying, okay, lady, how can we get into a place where we're a little bit more consistent, we're a little bit more fair? If you guys have had a conversation with me, fairness is so important to me. Like, It just is such a big deal to me. And I explain it like I'm a black and white person. But now that I'm looking at it, like there might not be as much black and white in me as I think. Like I might be a little bit more arbitrary. So the things that I'm going to try to remind myself today on this lesson, my poor toes, is first of all, I need to make decisions based on principles and not moods. So if I decide that chemical poop storms are no good, then just because I'm in the mood for Dairy Queen doesn't mean I get it. Like I had this principle, I decided I can't have it, or I'm choosing not to. Well, stand by it. Don't be swayed by, well, it just sounds really good right now. I don't know. I'm not making, just so you guys know, I'm not making this commitment. Okay. I am not making this commitment. Two, be clear about my expectations before holding other people accountable. Because if I'm not clear, well, then my, justice is going to feel very arbitrary. And they're going to say, well, what in the world? You didn't even tell me what you wanted. Three is explain the why behind important decisions whenever possible. So if I'm telling the kids that they can't do whatever, and you guys know I don't say no a lot, but let's just pretend that I do a little bit better job with that. If I tell the kids no, we'll explain why it's important instead of just, what is the saying? Because I said so. Four, treat people consistently, even when it's inconvenient. I can't have one rule for Kay and another rule for Chase. Goodness gracious, these poor toes, they're just beating me up today. And then five, build trust by letting my values, not my emotions, lead the way. And guess what? I know, Coach, you asked this question. Every single one of us, we're led by our emotions. And we explain those emotions by rationalizing things, explaining as logic. We can come up with a million reasons why we're making this decision that sounds really good. But if we dig into it, we realize, oh, there's some fear in there, or there's something behind every decision, even down to the car that we're driving, right? It was an emotional decision. So if we can lean back and look at, okay, let me figure out what that emotion is, well, we can make a lot better decisions. So when our actions consistently match our principles, people know where they stand with us. And that's the foundation of lasting trust and people not thinking that we're awfully arbitrary. So here we go. That's what I had today. That was a good
It
word.
was a
My
great,
toes hurt.
no, it was a great word. And I got to say this because we've got 1 minute. When I researched this, I actually looked it up on some different areas. And one of the things it said that if you really want to go, am I really that person that is arbitrary? It said that when you're going throughout the day, do you look at other people and question their food choices, their thoughts, their things, or do you stay internally focused most of the day? Isn't that interesting? Like, and I thought, okay, who am I? So today, like, I'm going to go through the day and go, do I walk in a restaurant and look at everybody else's plate? Do I question what they're drinking? Do I am I outwardly focused or am I actually walking through the world going, what about Brent? What is Brent doing? So just a thought that you might could play on yourself if you choose. So, all right. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We love you. We're grateful for you. We'll see you back on Hump Day Wednesday tomorrow.
Love
See
you
you
guys.
tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Everybody have a
Ron. Great
great
job.
day.